fourth global leader class of the winter semester. And as you can all see, I'm at home this morning in High Park in Toronto, not far from High Park actually. And it's a beautiful sunny morning here with nice little glittering snow. And I was out walking a bit this morning and getting better. But thank you for your patience. Next week I will be back in class in person for sure. And I would have been today as well, but I'm not really 100%. And even with a mask on, I just don't want to be um, too contagious for all of you. Whatever I have, I've seen a doctor and we're kind of diagnosing it right now. It's a bad virus, and I don't want you to get it. Okay, so you're going to hear me coughing, um, through the class, and but I'll try to minimize that. And when I have to blow my nose, I'll move away as best I can. But I really do want to be in person with as many of you as I can. But this will suffice for today, and at least I know everybody is physically safe. So I hope you're all going to be well. Um, through the next few weeks of continuing cold weather. But we have a class still to have. And so, what I wanted to do today is first just sort of look ahead a little bit at what's coming. And then I'd like to, the main part of today's class is really to um, do a kind of part two with Tim Berners-Lee, the inventor of the World Wide Web. But I want to drill down even more on what his global leadership really represents. And all of you will have had a chance now to familiarize yourself with him, what he's done, with the materials that were posted for all of you last week. And as well, there's some very well written third discussion posts that I would like to review as well. So essentially, what I want to do today is give all of us a chance to explore more deeply what his leadership and what his case study represents as an example for global leadership for you and for all of us, for better or for worse, because there's some critical things we need to look at today that you didn't have a chance to really look at last week when you were reviewing the materials. But also, what I want to do today is give all of you a chance to begin thinking and then choosing who you believe are good examples of global leaders. And we're going to fill up the live chat, our notes. That will be our record of notes today, the live chat. And we will have some good names from all of you. So I'd like you to just start thinking about, we're not going to get there until sort of the main part of today's class, but the main part of today's class is really going to be about your choices. And we're going to try and begin making some selections as well on the leaders that you would like to be focusing on. And then we will begin to define what makes them true global leaders. So just start thinking about it. You know, if you were asked right now, who might be your choice for a good example of a global leader, and we will get to that a little later in the class. Okay, so I just want to stop for a second and make sure everyone can hear me clearly. Not a problem. If you don't put anything in the live chat, I'll just assume everybody can hear me clearly and see me clearly, and that is good. We'll have a good recording for all the asynchronous students. And so before we begin to look more deeply at Tim Berners-Lee and also review some of your excellent discussion posts, Does anybody have anything they'd like to bring to the class's attention? You're welcome to. And is that hi? Is that ooh, I'm gonna need some help with that. Interesting. Shikuru. Shikuru? How do you pronounce the first name? I never did get that first name. Can you jump on your microphone?
Ah, Muinihire.
Okay, great. Just a second. You're Min Wihire.
No, Muinihire. Muinihire.
Mui
Muinihire.
Mui ni hire.
Yeah, sure.
Nice. Lovely. Mui ni hire. That's it.
Yeah,
I know you came in person, didn't you? In a previous class?
yeah, sure.
Yeah, great. What country are you from again? Mui ni hire.
Uh, Born from Congo, but I grown up in Uganda.
Wow. Great. Love to hear more about Africa and your experiences. So, do you have is there something you'd like to bring to the class's attention?
Maybe after.
Oh, okay. I saw I saw you go yes in the live chat after I asked a question. So I thought you were responding to my question.
No, I was responding like when you say like if we can hear you.
Oh, okay, good. Thanks. Anyways, muy nihire. Muy
Yeah, sure.
nihire. Yeah, great. Okay. Thanks. Oh no. Jeez, here it goes. I gotta stop for a sec. If the cough starts, it's like a machine, like a car that's been turned on. I can't turn the damn thing off. Okay. Excuse me. All right. So we have an excellent turnout. Actually, I wasn't expecting so many students for this, and that's great. As you know, I love the in-person dimension to this class when we are together in the classroom, and there's lots of flexibility. But the fact that we're having just strictly an online class today, like this, and there's 17 or so students who've connected, that's great. So, is there anybody else that would like to bring anything to the class's attention before I continue with the class? Yeah, Kendra, go ahead, please.
So last night, the First Peoples Indigenous Center hosted Dr. Katrina Kiefer, and it actually reminded me about Tim's story. She's working on game development that is inclusive to understanding, bringing the community's ideas of where she's developing these games and making sure that they get the profits of any game that is sold. And they're the
Yeah.
ones that hold that data, that information about that game, whether or not somebody else creates it. And I just,
Hmm.
after doing the discussion post and then going to that, her host of Tech Tuesday last night, I was just like, wow, this is the exact same thing as what we learned in class. So yeah.
That's good. Yeah. And there's something in there that you've just put your finger on that's so important, that is represented by Tim Berners-Lee, but in general, this idea of, making things accessible, equality, justice, the motivation for leadership is not financial ultimately, but there's something greater going on, and that everyone
Mhm.
can share in that. I mean, these are really important qualities. I think that's what you're
Yeah.
perhaps, yeah, you are, Kendra.
Yeah.
Excellent. And um, so we will definitely be looking more deeply at that today. And I'm glad whenever a student is able to connect what we're covering in class to something that just happened, in their life or that's very current. That's the kind of teaching style I have and I've developed, which is it's experiential, it's of the moment. So I'm always looking for examples like that, Kendra, that you've experienced and anything else. So, okay, well, is there anything else? Go ahead. Oh, good. keep going, okay, Kendra, because I like when the students are beginning to
Sorry, I thought
interact.
I was trying to
And then,
lower my hand. I thought I had already.
oh, did you
It's a
lower?
new
Oh,
system for me.
yeah. All right. Uh, Good. So somebody has raised a hand. Maybe it's Kendra or hasn't lowered it, or someone else. At any rate, I'll try to keep my eye on as well the digital hand icon as we move forwards. And so, okay,
Hi,
then. Oh, hi. Who's that?
it's Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. Go
I'm
ahead,
the
please.
I'm the one who had so I haven't been following too closely the Epstein file situation, but I'm
Yes.
aware of it. But it brought to question the responsibility of leaders. I think a lot of people are shaken up by the fact that so many leaders, whether it's corporate or global in terms of leaders of countries and royalty, that have now stepped into this frenzy of personal integrity. And if we can't trust you in your
Yes.
personal life, how do we trust you to lead a business, let alone a country? So it just got me thinking about, and I mean, we all have stuff in our closets that we don't want anyone to know about. But when it comes to leadership, where is the line drawn in terms of what personal
Yes.
integrity looks like, and what does that do for humanity when we look at people who are quote unquote leaders and
Yes.
moral failure and all that. So yeah, it just got me thinking. Again, I haven't looked at any of the files, haven't read anything, but I am aware that it's out there, and it got me thinking. So
But again, these are very good examples. And as a matter of fact, when it comes to the whole Jeffrey Epstein saga, and the and what it begins to say about our failures as a society, and the level of, let's call it, corruption, for example, at high levels of influence. This actually, Elizabeth, is very much what I wanted to explore in terms of part two of Tim Berners-Lee, because what Tim Berners-Lee ultimately represents in his example is a kind of disappointment with something that he brought, something that he led on, and now feels has become derailed by other forces. And I think that the Epstein case as well is something similar in the sense that we're talking about um, uh, situations that appear to have a lot of positive aspects. Leaders, for example, the American president, let's say the previous one, Bill Clinton, and a lot of the interesting people who were associated with Jeffrey Epstein, including a prince. But then at the same time, we have this disappointment over time of what were these people really doing, and ethically, what kinds of standards should they be held to? It seems like we've been let down somehow. Do you feel that a bit, Elizabeth? We're let down by our leaders.
I do. I think it's tough because to me leadership is more than just a title. It's a responsibility, and if you can't take responsibility for yourself, how do you ever take responsibility for anyone else? And I think at the same time, society, we may put people on a pedestal where we think that they aren't inflicted with human issues. um, and yeah, and then the power of choice, where as an individual you get to choose your behavior and the outcomes, and but how that affects us, in terms of leadership and who we put in leadership. um, Remembering that they're human beings, they are very, very fallible, they are very, very prone to
Yeah,
issues, all the temptations that come with power and money and influence, and how does that shape us and what we think of ourselves. And so
yeah.
I think there's a difference between respecting the office of the president. So I grew up, I'm also from Zimbabwe. So I'm from Zimbabwe
From
originally.
Zimbabwe.
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Like you were born in Zimbabwe?
So I was born in Zimbabwe, but I was born in Canada, but raised in Zimbabwe. So I came here in '96. I came here when I was
Yes.
18. But I was raised in Zimbabwe. So we were always taught that you respect the office of leadership. So, for instance, the idea that there's a president or a prime minister. But I think because we've seen so much deficiency
Yes.
in the humanness of our leaders, that we're also losing respect for the office. And my concern is, I see, for instance, there are trucks going by that say F Trudeau. Or now I understand the politics of that, where people are upset with him as a person, but it's also teaching people to disrespect the office of the prime minister. So where do you learn how to respect authority and leadership? And so that there's a trickle effect where you have kids now thinking, well, I don't have to respect leadership. I can say whatever I want. And then
Yeah.
it says, well, freedom of speech, where does that lead? Well, I should have the right to say anything. But then there is cause and effect. There is a
Yeah.
cause and there is an effect. And how do we steer that? How do we manage that? How do we teach that? So there's a lot
Sure.
of, I think leadership is a responsibility. It is not about having a title. And sometimes, like, I loved hearing about Sir Tim, because the responsibility to say it's the internet is not being used in the way he intended, and saying, I'm
Yes.
going to take responsibility for the outcome, and I'm going to do what I can to try and change that around. Now, whether
Yes.
he's successful or not is not something that he can really control, but he is doing his part to at least try.
Yes.
So that was a
This is a
big,
very good point,
yeah,
Elizabeth, and there's so much in what you just said that we can unpack. Even just the story of Zimbabwe
yeah,
itself, and the leader
yes,
there, Robert Mugabe. I
yes,
know a little bit about, but I want to move on from your point,
sure,
actually, in terms of this question of what Tim Berners-Lee represents to us, because you are talking about all the important forces that I'd like to explore in today's class, but I want to take it sort of step by step so that everybody has a chance to engage with this amazing story. Tim Berners-Lee really is an extraordinary and very relevant story to our times about leadership, about invention, about progress, about the limits to some extent to progress and disappointment, and then what other forces start to fill in the vacuum. And then ultimately, as Elizabeth has said, there's this question of responsibility. And I think that that's where I'd just like to stop for a moment, and then I want to go over to the discussion posts and give the students a chance to speak more about his example. But I do want to remind you that in terms of today's class, there are two critical things that I want you to take away from this class, and that is the meaning of the Tim Berners-Lee story. In terms of what it represents, for better or for worse, in the question of global leadership today. Very important. And then we're going to get your choices as well of other global leaders that we can be exploring in subsequent classes. Um, and I also want to just touch on the first assignment, which I've posted as well. So let's first stop and go over to the discussion post, because I've identified about two or three that were really well done in terms of the third discussion post, reflecting on last week's content, which was completely asynchronous, and that was all the Tim Berners-Lee material. So for any of you who are joining the class now today and have not had a chance to familiarize yourself with the content from last week, who have not posted a discussion post yet, had a chance to reflect on this, I would just really encourage you to listen to the conversation, listen to what Elizabeth and others, Kendra and others who are engaging have to say, and then make sure that you really familiarize yourself with the story of Tim Berners-Lee and the article that was posted for you from the Guardian. Okay, so let me just go over here and read to you out loud some of the posts that were Done. Now, I'm just scrolling through right now the third discussion posts, and I could share this with you, but it may just take a little moment, and I don't want to get too hung up with tech problems. So just use your imagination, and as you're looking at me right now, just imagine me scrolling through the third discussion posts. And let me go to this one. This is a student who I believe is completely asynchronous and is not with us today. Ebit Obal Etenjeng. If I'm not pronouncing this name correctly, Ebit, please let me know in an email or join our class at some point live and correct me. But if you want to follow along with me, just open up another tab and go to the third discussion board, the discussion board from last week's class, and just scroll down a little bit. But you don't have to. You can just listen. I'm just going to read to you what Ebit wrote, okay? Discussion 3. Ebit Obali Etenjeng. How can global leaders ensure that technological innovation remains aligned with the public good rather than drifting toward profit-driven or corporate-controlled interests? Great question. I mean, that strikes at the heart of what the Tim Berners-Lee story is all about. And I'll just read that question again before I give you Ebit's reason for the question. How can global leaders ensure that technological innovation remains aligned with the public good rather than drifting toward profit-driven or corporate-controlled interests? And the operative verb there is drifting. We'll get to that in the conversation. Drifting toward. Okay, so this question feels actually, you know what? Because I don't want to hear coughing. Is somebody able to read this out loud? Could somebody open their tab and maybe do this for us? Okay, I shouldn't be doing all the. Hold on a second. Who's that? Who would like to? Oh yeah, here we go. I have to make this worth everybody's while. Who would like participation marks really fast? Wally just said, okay, Wally, go ahead, please. Waleed, you can speak. I see you going, but we can't hear you. Hold on. Okay, Waleed? All right. It's okay. So here's my little quick fix. I'm going to try and not read out loud because my voice cannot handle it too much. So somebody has to step up. Oh, Elizabeth, please go ahead. You can just jump in. You can just jump in on your microphone, okay? Go ahead.
So I can read the statement?
Yeah, go ahead and read Ebit's.
Okay, yep.
Excellent, please.
I have it here. This question feels important because it reflects the tension at the heart of modern leadership, especially in technology. Tim Berners-Lee's example shows how powerful a single decision can be when it prioritizes people over personal gain. He created the World Wide Web with the intention of building an open, collaborative space where information could be shared freely. Instead of claiming ownership or monetizing his invention, he chose to make it accessible to everyone. That choice shaped not only the internet, but also the expectations we now place on global leaders to think beyond themselves and consider the long-term impact of their work. At the same time, Berners-Lee has expressed concern that the internet has drifted away from his original vision. Large companies now control much of the online experience, collecting data, shaping content, and influencing what people see. His worries highlight how easily innovation can shift from serving the public to serving profit. That shift raises questions about responsibility ethics, and the kind of leadership needed in a world where technology affects nearly every aspect of life. Asking this question matters because it pushes me to think about what leadership should look like today. It challenges the idea that success is measured only by money or power, and instead emphasizes accountability, transparency, and a commitment to the greater good.
Yeah. I think, Elizabeth, you would find that pretty agreeable in terms of
Yes.
what you. Excellent. And Elizabeth, I just want to say that you have earned your 5 out of 5 already.
Yay! Thank you.
Okay. And for all of you else listening, anybody who steps up and is prepared to read out loud um, either their discussion post or one that I tell you to read, you will receive 5 out of 5. Okay. Um, so um, let's let's read out loud some more. Okay, and then we're going to talk about this idea and try and figure out what is the defining question, the really critical question that the story of Tim Berners-Lee represents for us in our global leadership class. And then we're going to try and unpack it and answer it. But I think we're getting pretty close. Okay, so the next discussion post that I would like to be read out loud, if we go down a little bit more, is, oh, okay. Well, I think that Kensia Chevalier. Kensia, are you in the class? Let us see. I thought,
I am.
yes, Kensia. Lovely. Kensia, would you please read out loud your third discussion post?
Okay, because it's on my computer. My internet
Okay.
gives me trouble. I'm gonna try it on my phone. If I go, I can come back. I disconnect
Okay,
because I have
you go
to.
ahead and try to find it on your phone. We excuse me. One of the things about global leadership that I hope you started to recognize in this class is we're big on workarounds. You know, we always
Yeah.
figure out a way to make the tech work. So you go ahead, find yours on your iPhone. And in the meantime, I'm going to move on to something else. And then when
When
you
I'm
come back,
ready.
we'll be ready for you. Okay?
Okay,
So
no problem.
way to go. All right. So let me come back and take a look and see. And if we scroll back up to, how about Jonelle Cairns? That was the last post that was posted. And who can read out loud Jonelle Cairns? Elizabeth has already earned her 5 out of 5. Kensia is going to find hers. So I would say, oh, look who is with us. Jonelle is there. Jonelle. Hi, Jonelle. Jonelle Cairns.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Jonelle.
Hi.
Hi, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Good work on your third discussion post. Would you mind reading it out loud for the class?
Mm,
Or
if I
would you
can
like
find
somebody
it.
else? You will earn immediately your 5 out of 5 for participating today, but you don't have to. We can have someone else, but it would be great if the actual writer of this read it out loud. So you want to give it a try?
I can't find it, to be honest.
Okay. Well, let me try for a second, and I'll try reading it. If I don't
Okay.
last too long, then we'll figure out another way. But oh, look, Ebbet is now. Hello, Ebbet. You're in the class. We just,
Thank you, sir.
yeah. Where are you? Way to go, Ebbet. Good work on the third discussion post. We just read it out loud.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, and so try to stay in the class as best you can, and we'd like to get your thoughts a little bit more on what you wrote, because what we're doing today is we're drilling down more on the Tim Berners-Lee example, what it represents for global leadership. Okay, so it's really important that we get some thoughts. And I've identified 2 or 3, I think, nice and richly written discussion posts, and yours was among them. Okay, so Jonelle, I'm going to try then. Okay, why don't we try this? This will be fun. Ebbet, are you able to get to the 3rd discussion board? Open up another tab?
I would try to do so right now. Still just getting settled.
Okay,
I
so
think I should be able to.
uh, that's all right. Let me, and Kensia is still working on getting hers. Then we'll come back. Kensia, are
Yes,
you able to
yeah, I
go?
found it,
Go
but
ahead.
I'm gonna read it on my computer because I can't see it in the discussion board.
Excellent. You go ahead, and then we'll come back to Jonelle, and we're going to get some thoughts from Ebbet. And now we're starting to move this class. This is great. Kensia, please read out loud your 3rd discussion post.
How did Sir Tim Berners-Lee show responsibility as a global leader? And why does this matter for the future technology leaders? Sir Tim Berners-Lee demonstrated responsibility as a global leader through the way he developed and managed the whole wide web. When he invented the web, he chose not to patient and keep it for profit. Instead, he made it freely available so that people, organizations, and countries around the world could use and build on it.
Yeah.
This decision shows a strong sense of responsibility because he prioritized global benefits over personal gain. His leadership helped create equal access to information and opportunities for innovation worldwide. He also continued to take responsibility for how the web is used today. Berners-Lee speaks out about problems such misinformation, loss of privacy, and the misuse of personal data. He promotes the idea that the internet should remain open, safe, and respectful of human rights. By doing this, he shows that leadership does not end after creating something important. It includes
Yeah.
guiding how that creation affects society. This quality is extremely important for future technology leaders. New technologies like artificial intelligence and digital platforms have
Yeah.
powerful effects on people's lives. Leaders must think about ethics, fairness, and long-term consequences, not just success or profit. Berners-Lee example teach that responsible leadership let technology improve the world instead of focusing on.
Kensia, excellent. Really, you're hitting all the
Because
really
I have French accent, sorry.
no, but the content of what you wrote and the quality of thought is really important in this. And this is why I always enjoy this part of the class when I'm able to give time to read out loud the discussion posts after I've identified them and decided what I think should be read out loud, because not only does it tell me that students are deeply processing the content of the class, but it's also inspiring for other students to hear their own classmates engaging with the material more deeply. So I look forward to seeing what you're going to do with your first assignment that will be due on February the 19th. Okay, so that's been posted already. We'll get to that later as well. But just keep in mind, everybody, that there will be a first assignment due on Thursday, February the 19th. And all of the criteria have been posted for you. Okay, Waleed, I see your hand again. Is this, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Or
Yeah, absolutely.
okay.
Go ahead. Is this,
No, I just wanted to confirm you can hear me.
yeah, I can hear you and see you clearly. So that's great. Okay. Um, all right. So now we have had some good discussion posts read, and I'd like to do one more. Okay. So we had Abbott's at the beginning. We've had Kensia's, and now I'd like to go to Jonelle's. And for the reading out loud of Jonelle's, I will try, but I just don't want to get into a coughing fit. Let me just check the live chat and see what's here. Okay. So, well, Daniel. Hi, Daniel. How are you today? Daniel Sinclair? Darrell. Hi, Darrell. Just checking in to see.
Hello?
Okay, is that Darrell?
Yeah.
Okay. Darrell, would you good, there's Daniel. Darrell, are you able to open up another tab?
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead and open up a tab and go to the third discussion board.
Yeah.
Okay. Go to the top of the discussion board and you will see Janelle's post there.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. Could you please read that out loud for us and you will get your 5 out of 5, okay?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Tim Berners-Lee's vision for a better humanity is shown through his ideas and equal access to information. As Berners-Lee explained, his vision was clear. It would be used by everyone, filled with everything, and crucial, it would be free. Without his vision and his gift of the World Wide Web, technology would be far behind today. His forward thinking created a way of people of all kinds of expertise to come together and solve problems across the world. Even though his article, in this article, he feels the world has let him down. There are many examples of how he improved it, providing education for students, raising awareness, climate issues, sharing medical information, and enabling rapid exchange of data. All has been made possible through his innovation of the World Wide Web. Was the decision shared? Was it wrong? Would it be better off silence without influence of his web communication concept? These are questions he likely asks himself every day. His character shows great leadership, and his concern of the next generation is clear, especially regarding security and protection. He thinks beyond present and hopes to cultivate a better world for the youth. Tim Berners-Lee reports concern of AI over power controlling the world. This generates more insight of what kind of leader he really is. His perspective, clear thinking, innovative passion, selflessness are commendable and continues his pursuit of developing a better world for mankind, not driven by power or by money.
Excellent. Thank you, Darrell. And please stay with us as long as you can. You have earned your 5 out of 5, but I think you're going to find what's coming is going to be also very interesting in the class. So you can go ahead and mute your microphone now, and I'm
All
going to
right.
come over to Janelle for a second. And hi, Janelle. So, is there anything you want to add to what Darrell read out loud, or any thoughts you feel you missed that you'd like to add to this?
Basically when I read and heard about Tim Berners-Lee. I didn't know very much about him. I was born in 1989, so I was born right when the internet was coming out.
Yeah.
So I feel like I firsthand got to experience everything
Yeah.
as a whole. It's just amazing that I got to experience it, and I'm just in awe.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just
It.
makes you feel very thankful. Um,
Hmm.
Also, just being able to see someone who is actually a real person is really, really nice to see, especially that he's thinking about the next generation. He's worried about how my son, how other people's kids are going to be
Hmm.
impacted by the technology that he has introduced to the planet, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. Janelle, were you surprised to hear that one person, one human being and their ideas and their character, if you will, could have such influence on the rest of the world?
Yes, absolutely.
And and I'm glad you said,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah, good, because this is something that I wanted all of you to be able to think about that maybe you didn't immediately see, was that we tend to take the internet now absolutely for granted, and Janelle has said that she was born in 1989, at a time when it was beginning to become a bigger part of our lives, but many of you are younger than that, and may not even recall a time when it was being introduced, and have simply just been born into this world in which we take for granted this technology. But as a matter of fact, there is a remarkable story of global leadership, at the core, at the beating heart of the internet and the World Wide Web, and that's Tim Berners-Lee. And so, this is really um, a very important part of global leadership for all of you, is to recognize that one person can make a difference. And we tend to think, in this big world, that we're just very small part of a bigger thing that we can't influence, but we can. And that's something that I want to explore more in the next 15 or 20 minutes with you, as we begin to kind of look more closely at these three discussion posts. But first, let me just check in and see what's happening in the live chat. Um, no, not a problem. Me when Harry. Excellent. And you can catch up on the notes later. That's fine. Okay, I'm just checking in with the live chat there. Okay, so we're going to continue with the conversation a little bit more deeply now. I just want to check on time as well. We're about 10:53, so that's good. Is there anything anybody would like to say as we begin to kind of step back and look at these three discussion posts and try to understand what was important about what Ebbett and Kensia and Janelle were saying? I have some thoughts, and I'm going to give that momentarily, but is there anything any of you would like to add? And you can just jump on your microphone. You don't even have to raise your digital hand, okay? Okay, well, then one of the important um, um, lessons that you're going to learn from me through this semester in every class are skills or attributes or characteristics of global leaders, good global leaders. We can talk about bad ones too, but I think it's better that we concentrate on the inspiring and good stories, the ones that will give you a way to think about how you might like to act as a global leader. So you can always expect, as we have these discussions and as I help analyze what's been written by all of you, that I'm going to try and pull critical things that are takeaway for you. So in terms of a quality of global leadership that Tim Berners-Lee has demonstrated and that is so important going forward, I want to give you a word right now, really important. And then what I'd like to do is just spend a little bit of time with you trying to understand what it means, okay? Janelle mentioned character. Character. The idea of responsibility or responsible leadership has come up as well. And the idea of how Tim Berners-Lee has done something that many didn't expect him to do, is that he's now trying to ensure that his ideas are protected. He could have gone away. He could have made a lot of money. He could have not stood up and fought for the best of his invention. But he's doing that right now. He's fighting to make sure that the integrity of what he has created will be protected. That's character. Now, that's the word right now, okay? That's the quality that we're talking about that is so basic, maybe so obvious, and yet so difficult in some ways to define. What exactly is character? And when you begin to think about your choices of global leaders in about 15 or 20 minutes, when we begin to listen to what are some of the examples you would like to give for the rest of the class, character, I'm sure, is going to be critical to your choice, whether you know it or not. So let's try and understand this for a moment, okay? What is character? And I'm going to write that here. What is character? The critical quality that we're talking about here with Tim Berners-Lee is not about him as an inventor, him as a creator. That's true. He's an entrepreneur. But there's a leadership story here as well that's very important about what he's doing and the people he's brought together in his worldwide consortium. Too, he's continuing to lead in the interviews and the books that he writes, where he's demonstrating this character. Well, what is it? That, I think, is a very important question to answer right now. So is anybody prepared to jump on their microphone and try and define it for us? Waleed, go ahead. Excellent.
I think character is defined by its morals, by a person's morals. Like, because Tim Berners-Lee, like, he could have profited off of it, but because of his betterment, he chose to make it free for the public, for everyone.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So, yeah, good, Elizabeth. We'll come there in a moment. Waleed, when you talk about morals, that's a good word, but again, are you talking about sort of ethics, religion? What? Let's try to get some more precise definition. This is where it gets difficult. This is where we have to apply critical thinking to this. Okay, so what do you mean morals?
Ethical morals, as in terms of a leader, basically.
So, meaning that he's thinking about what when he begins to lead an initiative or promote an idea and get support for it. What is he trying to promote? What would you say he's trying to promote?
Basically, an accessible web space for everyone.
So accessibility is very important. Yeah, accessibility. Okay, good. Let's keep going. Okay, everyone. And Waleed, could you write that into the notes right now? Okay, so for your answer to what is character, just put that into the live chat, okay? Underneath my question. What is
Okay.
character? Yeah. Well, I'm going to try and use the live chat as kind of our notes and a record for everybody. Okay. So just underneath what is character, just write in your answer, accessibility, morals, whatever comes to mind. I'm going to continue with this. Was it Elizabeth that was next, or was it Kensia or Kendra? Kendra, and then we'll come to Elizabeth.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Elizabeth was first? Okay. Sorry. Thanks, Kendra. Okay. Elizabeth, go ahead.
I was going to describe it as personal integrity. Character is who I am, whether a camera is on me or not, and that's a personal thing that now bleeds out into the rest of my life. So, if I hold myself to a high moral ground, and it could be from a religious experience, it could be upbringing, personality, but who I am as a person and what is important to me is then bleeds out into what I do and how I do things. So if I'm a kind person, naturally, kindness will be part of my business. If I'm a person who has self-respect, that also goes out into my business. So I
Yes.
think character is about personal integrity that affects every area of my life.
Okay. Now let's think about Tim Berners-Lee for a second in terms of his character. Um, do we apply the same idea of personal integrity to him? Or is there something else? Because we don't know a lot about his personal life
I
that much.
think
So,
I think like what Waleed was saying was in terms of accessibility. His goal in creating the World Wide Web was this idea of connecting people and in a way that was not only responsible, which of course now we're seeing that because he's trying to take responsibility for the changes, but I think even that shows his character saying that I want to not only make a difference in the world, but I want to do it in a way that's going to do more for humanity, do more good than damage. And because he's seen the amount of damage there's been, he is trying to rectify that. That
yeah.
means that he is concerned mainly about what he leaves behind, which is something. So his legacy, who he is. When people say his name, are people going to say his name with respect
Exactly.
and a sense of piety, or are they
Yes.
going to say, kind of name with, oh, like, yeah, he was just another person who added to the capitalistic, you know,
Yeah.
stream of the world. So I do think that his personal integrity has shown up in the way he runs his business and his idea. His idea was connection, and he's sticking with that.
Excellent. Elizabeth, can you go ahead while I'm sort of summarizing and just really a critical part of what you said? Could you start writing your answer as best you can in the live chat?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what
Sure,
I'm
I
really
can do
trying
that.
to do for everybody now. Okay. We're gonna answer the question, but then the person who answers, I will ask them to write their answer in the live chat. That will be the notes, and that people can refer to later because there's some good information here. Elizabeth has said, by the way, everybody, one really important term here about character that may not be something you would immediately think of, and that's the word legacy. Legacy. And I would just like all of you to think about for the moment that word. I'm not going to ask you to talk about it or define it. I just want to plant that seed in all of you right now, the legacy. Because when you start to think about legacy, that inevitably is going to make you think about how to do something good for humanity. And, you know, um, humanity is a very loaded word, as you've probably begun to sense this semester. It's not just humankind when you look at the definition of humanity, it's also about the bond. Humanity that unites all humans. Humanity is a state of being, or we might even say benevolence or love. So, doing something for humanity, doing something good for humanity when we talk about that, it's not just about humankind. It's also about that state you want to do something for, maybe improve benevolence, deepen the bonds between humans, make humans better, elevate the human spirit. All of these things are kind of woven into the word humanity. If you look at the definition of humanity, it's a very, very powerful word. Okay, so anyways, Elizabeth is working on her answer that she's going to put in there. Let's go over to Kendra, and then I think there might have been someone else, Ebbet as well. Kendra, please go ahead.
So I was going to say something along the lines of integrity, but there's also resilience. It talks about in your recording that he's had a learning disability, and he's also encountered people who didn't understand how his idea would work, and they weren't sure how to do it. So he had to basically learn how to create something that's never existed before, and that shows a lot of resilience for his character. Having limitations on oneself enables you to reach to the next level, is essentially what I'm saying.
Very. Now, I'm really glad you picked up on that idea of resilience and even the learning disability part. And, in the video that I had you watch of him sitting on stage at the Olympics, that was the opening ceremonies of the Olympics, that he was asked to perform at, if you will. He just sat at a table and, with the computer in front of him, and then across the thousands of people sitting, I think it was at Wembley Stadium in London. It was the London Olympics. You see the phrase, "This is for everyone," written across it. But if you notice when he stands up, if you watch the video and he stands up and he waves, there's a kind of an awkwardness in the way that he kind of engages, and a stiffness, if you will. And part of it would be nerves. I mean, imagine, standing in front of 80,000 people, and but at the same time, I think you saw there a small example of Tim Berners-Lee and his own disability, or something. There's an awkwardness there, but again, look at what he's done with it. Look at the kind of character that he's demonstrated in how he's turned that around. Look at the resilience that he's had, and demonstrated in taking his own qualities, his and limitations, and also strengths, and turning that into something that is good for all of us, that is inspiring for all of us. And I think that there really is a great example there, as Kendra said, about resilience. And so, Kendra, go ahead and start to write your answer as well. Okay, you can add to what you just said, but try to put something into the notes, the live chat. Okay, like Elizabeth and Waleed, and then I'm going to go to Ebbet. Okay, and then we'll move on. Ebbet, please go ahead.
I think Elizabeth clearly articulated my point, but I have almost the same thing. To me, character is a combination of integrity, moral courage, self-discipline, empathy, and it is really what determines whether someone can be trusted, whether they lead ethically or whether they make decisions that benefit more than just themselves.
Yeah. Ebbet, very, very good. You just brought in another really important quality of global leaders that I'm going to try and help you again to isolate, and we can drill down on. Trust. Now, the reason I'm laughing a little bit as I say it is because we do live at a time when many have said there's a lack of trust in leadership, in people in power, and I think the Jeffrey Epstein saga is somewhat of an example of that. How can we trust any of those individuals who now are becoming known as having been close to Jeffrey Epstein? How can we trust their work? For example, Noam Chomsky, who has been a very important social critic for the last decades, is emerging as someone as well who was a good friend of Jeffrey Epstein. How can we trust the royal family, or not just a prince, but a king or a queen or others, when we see such kind of moral lapses in their character, um, and and so Ebbett has helped us to just begin to think about, well, who are we going to trust then? How will we trust them? And let's come back to Tim Berners-Lee for a second, okay? Just a sec, and see. Ebbett, do you trust Tim Berners-Lee?
Hmm, that's a heavy question because
I don't know.
I don't know how to answer that.
Um,
I don't I don't think I do.
okay, well, hold on. Um, First, I don't want to proceed unless I know. Have you familiarized yourself with the material? Do you know who we're talking about? Tim
Oh yes,
Berners-Lee? Okay.
100%.
Okay, great. Okay, good. So then this is interesting. We've just spent a good half an hour drilling down more on what makes Tim Berners-Lee an excellent example of global leadership. And we're coming
Else I
to
don't
the
know.
end of this part with this punctuating quality that I call trust, critical. And I've asked you a very simple question, which I thought would elicit the answer, yes, of course I trust him. But now you're not sure. Why?
The only reason I can't say I trust him fully is because I haven't done a deeper research. There's always two sides of the story. There's people who believe he might not be a great leader, and there's others who believe he is a great leader. From the material that you've provided for us, he is a great leader in that sense. If you go through his accomplishments and what he's done for the digital space, but also on the other side, there's people who do not believe he's done enough in the world so far. So without
Hmm,
both arguments, I
sure.
can't really say I trust him per se.
Okay.
But I do believe he's a great leader, but I don't know if I
Yeah.
trust him.
I love the answer, because what is on display here, Ebbett, for all of us is real critical thinking. You are answering a question from your professor. I am, quote unquote, an authority figure. There may be a pressure that you feel to provide the answer that the professor is expecting. That is when you're a child, and you're not a child, but you are a grown man critically thinking on your own, and you have decided you want to do some more research. This is excellent. So I commend you. I really commend you for that critical thinking. And that was also on display in your discussion post as well. So you do not have to write out an answer to what is character. Now you already have done that. Ebbett, I can see in the live chat. And I do want you to address one thing for all of the students to help them to understand, because there was something else that you mentioned about leadership here, and that's self-discipline. Could you, Ebbett, speak to this idea of why self-discipline is an important quality of character? Go ahead.
I think self-discipline is the foundation and the pillar for you to build upon your character as a person. Because without self-discipline, I, as a person, I can't trust that you would follow through with your words, with actions, if behind the scenes you can't follow up on your responsibilities. If you say you're going to do something today and do not follow through with it in your personal life, although that isn't seen by the world, it does show that you're incompetent to say.
Mm.
And I cannot believe that you're going to lead me if in your personal life you can't even lead yourself. I think that's my own summary of how I understand self-discipline. It starts within, and once you're able to be self-disciplined yourself, that is going to show in your actions, how you show up in the world, and eventually how you're going to lead people.
Mhm.
Yep. Excellent. Excellent. And if you could summarize that just in a line or two, please put that into the live chat, okay? So that we can have a good section for everybody today on character that will be there in the notes. And I just want to begin to just conclude this section of today's class before we get to the big part of the choices of global leaders. And to remind you of two things that are very important qualities of a leader, whether they are working in their own community, whether they are trying to have a greater impact globally. Ultimately, when we talk about global leadership, we're talking about a person who is having impact locally and globally at the same time. That's the global part that I have talked about in the past. But what I wanted to say, two things that are really important. First is, regardless of where you're leading, your word will always be sacrosanct. In other words, sacred. When you give your word to somebody that you will do something, that you will follow through on something, that you value something, that is a critical part of building trust and gaining support for your cause. It's not about contracts. It's not about even handshakes. Ultimately, it's what comes out of your mouth when you speak. Your words matter very, very much. And when you say something, you mean it. And people will follow that and they will believe you. And when they believe you, then you have an even greater responsibility to deliver for them. This is what we call the responsibility that comes with greater power. The more power you have, the more responsibility you feel. Unfortunately, we have seen in the case of Jeffrey Epstein and others that the more power leaders have today, often, the more they feel they can take. And we see this on full display in the United States as well with Donald Trump and others. It's just taking and taking and taking and not giving. So this quality of your word is very important. And the second thing that I would say that comes back to Tim Berners-Lee ultimately is that leadership is about making things happen. If you can't make something happen, you can't lead. And so you have the trust, yes, you have the character, and you have these other qualities. But if you can't pull it all together and actually make it happen, then there will be no leadership. So I'd like you to just remember those two things about your word is sacrosanct, and you have to be able to make things happen. And so that's another kind of way for me to transition into the bigger part of today's class. And here's what I'd like all of you to do for the next 5 to 7 minutes or so. I'd like you to just reflect for a moment on who you think, looking around you. It could be in Oshawa, it could be in Durham College, it could be in Canada, it could be back home in your country where you come from originally. It could be any single individual, male or female, young or old, doesn't matter what field, but you think they really demonstrate these qualities of global leadership that we've been exploring so far. And when you've figured out that person, please put their name into the live chat. Okay? And I'd like to start to see a list of different names, different global leaders starting to come through in the live chat. And I will give you 5 to 7 minutes to do that. Go ahead. And if you have any questions, I'm here. But otherwise I'm going to stop talking and let you think. One example. Please give it thought. Don't just write something fast. That's social media. I'm asking for reflection and thoughtfulness and some depth of thought right now. Go ahead. good choices and some good explanation here from Ebed, from Elizabeth, from Kendra. But remember, for the others who are putting their choices, a brief explanation of what it is about them, just very brief, 3 or 4 lines, that qualifies them as a global leader. Eventually, we're going to vote on these, and we're going to have to choose one. So there's going to be some hard choices coming next class when we vote on this. Now, Trevor, I'm going to say something important, but it's critical, okay? But I need to say this, and if you think I've said something too critical, you tell me, okay? Martin Luther King Jr. is the obvious choice that everybody chooses all the time. Plus, he's American, and we want more than that now in the world.
Do you want me to change another lead, like put
Yeah,
another
yeah.
leader
Give
in the
me
comment?
the less obvious, give me the real. I mean, so do you know what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Okay,
understand you.
good.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll
because
change it. Yeah.
change. Yeah. So the critical thing is give me a more original choice and not American. Okay. Good.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks, Trevor. Rudra. Is it Rudra or Rudra? You pronounce. You've been doing some good work in the course. It's Rudra. Okay, Rudra, and way to go with your first assignment. You got that in early. I'm going to say something also that's going to challenge you a little bit. Do you know that some people would say that Narendra Modi is not a good choice because he is intolerant towards the Muslim people of India, that he is a nationalistic Hindu who cares only about protecting the Hindu people, and even more, has been historically in his career involved in violence against people who were not Hindu. What do you think about that? You can answer that in the live chat. You don't have to answer it. I'm saying this to challenge you. It's important for the students that as we move towards a choice next class, we're going to have to look at these leaders and your choices more closely before we decide as a class who is our choice. Once we take our choice, we're going to be really looking at that person more deeply in subsequent classes. So I'd like the students to know that Narendra Modi has been criticized for not being a leader because he's been intolerant towards those who are not Hindu. What do you think about that? Okay, I know you're thinking, okay? I've just said something that's could be hard for you to hear, but it's important for you to hear this, and I'm saying this respectfully. We're in a classroom. We need to be talking about things intelligently, respectfully, but also critically. Okay, good. Great. So keep. Okay. I wonder though, Trevor, as I look at that choice, good choice, but it's such an old example. Simon Bolivar, we're going back to like 200
It is
years.
very old.
Yeah. So I'm going to push you to think.
I can change it.
Okay.
I can change it.
Yeah. We want something that's relevant to today. anyways, you're all thinking, which is most important. My job is to challenge you and help you to, go further. And okay. All right, so let me just make sure everybody's clear about the participation marks as you do this, that you all will receive 5 out of 5 today at the end of today's class, provided that you do the question here, which is that you put your choice and you provide your brief explanation. There are other students that quickly receive their 5 out of 5 earlier, and I have them here, but to make sure that everybody's clear, you will not receive your full participation marks if you don't put your choice plus your reason, okay? There's nothing to post on the discussion board today after the class for all of you. That will be only for the asynchronous students this week. Good, Roger. I'm glad you're thinking about this, okay? Yeah, he has been criticized. Yeah, and you're not wrong in what you've said. It's about his global, but in our definition of global leadership, personal integrity and commitment to accessibility, equality, justice, human rights, these are important qualities too. And so I'm not sure that Narendra Modi is going to make it to our final list, but we shall see. Okay, so we have about 5 minutes left. I just want to make sure that everybody's clear on how the marks are going to work today. Waleed's got Stephen Hawking in there. That's good. Rudger's in there. Nathan, don't forget, okay? Your choice plus reason, right? Good. Morgan, yeah, I think Morgan's there. Melanie, I'm just going through everybody here now. Lindsay, Kensia, Delane, Daniel, Benjamin, Abe, Trevor, Kendra, Janelle, Elizabeth, Ebbett, and Darrell. So by 11:45, when I save the live chat and we end the class, if you are not in the live chat with your choice and your reason, you will not receive full participation marks. Okay, so let's just be clear. Oh, good, Darrell. That's a new one. I haven't heard Amy Avis. Good. Yeah. Good, we've got everybody. Is there anybody who's not here? Let me just check and see, and then we're going to conclude. Okay, so make sure. Yeah, good. Elizabeth is there. Yeah, of course. Kendra's there. Abbott's there. Rudra, Trevor. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm going to begin concluding the class. And I just want to check my notes and make sure we've got your choices. Great. Tim Berners-Lee. Third discussion. Good. And Daniel, don't forget to put your reason for why you would. That's a great choice, actually. Daniel Sinclair's choice, by the way, is a really interesting. Ooh, okay. Abbe, I want you to think about that. But that's good. Okay, just be prepared next week when we look at the reasons whether Vladimir Putin would qualify for our definition as of a global leader in terms of what we define in our class. It might be a person who has impact, but the person that we choose in the end is somebody that we are going to vote on and is our choice. So I'm not sure, Abbe, that Vladimir Putin is going to be our choice. In the same way that maybe Donald Trump or Narendra Modi would not be our choice. Only because, Abby, I say this, these are men, these are leaders who have shown something in their leadership style that I think all of us should reflect on very deeply, and that is their style is violent. They rule through force, through the fist. And it has been said that in a modern civilization, it's only those leaders who can rule through persuasion, who can convince through language and through respect, mutual respect, are the ones who deserve our trust. But those who rule through their fist, who are violent, they don't deserve our respect and our trust. And so I would ask you, Abbe, to think about that choice and what you've just said. Because you're choosing a person who did launch an invasion of another country and is at war with Ukraine, and in which 2 million people, as we speak today, in the 4 years of war, 2 million people have either been killed or injured. Do you know that's true, that figure? So I'm asking you to think, Abbe, about this, okay? And about your concept of what you believe a leader is, in what strength means. Strength in the modern world, as we go forwards, is about intelligence and is about persuasion and is about mutual respect and human rights. The old style is you go to war and you kill a lot of people. We want to do better than that. Okay, so let's just see now. Does anybody have any questions? Please jump on your microphone because we're coming to the conclusion. I want to make sure you're all aware that the first assignment has been posted, the due date, the criteria. Students are already submitting their assignments, which is great. There are no bonus marks for early submission for this assignment, but there will be for the final assignment later in the semester. I will be explaining that later. I will be back in the class next week in person for sure. Waleed, go ahead, please.
Is there a specific format to the assignment?
No, I simply want you to write 725 to 750 words. Waleed, essentially, it's a longer discussion post, but with a specific criteria that I'm asking you to follow. But the style is simply, it's a longer discussion post, okay?
Oh, okay, okay.
Good. Okay, everybody. So it's 11:41. I'm not saving the live chat yet. I want to give everybody a chance to get their choices in. Is there anyone who has not yet put their choice for a global leader in? Good, Janelle, you're in there. Yeah, I saw that. Okay. You have 4 minutes to do so, but at 11:45, I'm going to officially conclude. I'm going to disconnect and save the live chat. So make sure you're in there now. And I just want to also conclude it's great, even though we're online today, to be able to interact with all of you, but my hope is to be always in person, and I will be next week. And we can have a good interactive class. Okay. Okay, so if you've already put your choice in and your reason and you don't have a question, you can leave the class, okay? And I will see you next Wednesday.
Thank you.
Have a nice
Okay,
day.
take care, everybody. Go ahead.
Did you already nominate the leader yet, or was that?
No, that's next week. We're going to do that next week.
Oh, okay, okay.
We're going to do it together. We're going to do it together next week, okay, Waleed?
All right.
Thanks,
All right. See you
Kendra.
next week.
Yeah, take
See you
care.
next week. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan. Good. Excuse me.